On DSTV, channel 421, Go TV 144. This is Joy News Prime. With me, Ernest Mino. Our headlines this hour. Minority in Parliament challenges President Akufo-Addo's claim that his government has done more for roads infrastructure in just 5 years, more than any other government in history.
1,885 kilometers of new roads have been constructed.
If you read this document from the president, which talks about 4,200 kilometers, and he stands in front of the people and says he's constructed 10,000 kilometers, the president lied.
We have more from the State of the Nation address, including a disclosure that 17.7 billion cedis has so far been spent on COVID-19 expenditure.
The Ministry of Finance tells us that an amount of 17.7 billion cedis, 4.6% of GDP, has been spent in containing the pandemic since 2020.
A special feature tonight, the people have their say on the State of the Nation.
My name is Nadi. I'm selling the tomatoes in the Carnation market. My business is not good for me.
Now the cost of transportation is another matter we are looking at because the fares are going up each and every day.
Myself, like I did my shop, but ask nobody they come. I for come the roadside, come what say I go get some chop money, go house because kid the house.
And later here on the show, NDC accuses the Clerk of Parliament of tampering with vital evidence to be used to challenge the one-sided approval of the controversial E-levy.
So it is interesting to find out that these votes and proceedings, which represent the minutes of yesterday, has been cooked. And then the opportunity to correct the cooked document is also denied.
At 8 p.m., I'll hand over to Charles for the latest in business. Charles, what should we look forward to?
Well, tonight, the Data Protection Agency moves to prosecute 250 companies for systemic breaches in Ghana's data protection law.
We'll bring you details at 8 p.m. and at 8:30 we'll have Prime Sports for you here on Joy News Prime. And in sports, after Ghana secured a ticket to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, President Akufo-Addo has charged the GFA to maintain the current technical team.
I'm hoping that the technical team that has been put together for these two matches will at least take us through the World Cup itself.
We are a home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I'm Ernest Mino. Stay tuned for details. Choosing us. Now, the minority in Parliament is challenging President Akufo-Addo's claim that his government has done more for roads infrastructure than any other government in the history of this country. Delivering the State of the Nation address, the president said that his government has covered more than 10,000 kilometers of roads in just 5 years.
Mr. Speaker, it is in the road sector that we have registered the greatest infrastructure achievement. I know that the word unprecedented is often used with careless abandon in our public discourse, but I use it carefully and purposefully. In the 5 years of my government, so far, more roads have been built, improved, and upgraded than at any equivalent period under any government in the history of Ghana. Some 10,885 kilometers of new roads have been constructed in these 5 years. Let me mention, Mr. Speaker, that yesterday it was my honor and great pleasure to have commissioned the Tamale interchange. The first such interchange in the northern sector of our country, which the people of Tamale gladly celebrated. I considered it to be a most satisfying birthday present. We intend to continue with the building of roads around the country to accelerate the opening up of our country.
But this seems to have incurred the wrath of the minority who are challenging this claim. Here's the ranking member on the Roads Committee of Parliament, Gavin Kwame Agbreja.
If you read this document from the president, which talks about 4,200 kilometers, and he stands in front of the people and says he's constructed 10,000 kilometers, what word will you use to describe the president's comment? No, you have.
No, you tell me.
A liar. The president
Is a liar.
lied.
I mean, he's the president of the state.
The president of the state should be telling the truth. How do you publish this? You publish this 4,000, and guess what? This includes pothole patching. The only road they've done, apart from asphaltic overlay, is 68 kilometers. Where from the 10,000 kilometers? Mr. President, you wanted us to come together with you, but I don't want to be with you as a liar. You lied, Mr. President. The roads you said you've worked on, not constructed, worked on, which include re-graveling, graveling, asphaltic overlay, it's only 4,200 kilometers. Mr. President, how do you want the whole country, including pastors or comfort Muslims, to be with you in your game of lying? We cannot be with you. You lied about it.
So what do we know about this? My colleague Kofi J, who is our research desk, has been digging on this. Kofi joins me via Zoom with some more information on this. So Kofi, the president claims that his administration has built 10,875 kilometers of new roads in 5 years. What did you discover?
Right, so Ernest, we've been doing our own checks. So let's start with the country's total road network. So according to the ministry's own 2022 program-based budget, the country's total road network was estimated at 78,401 kilometers, out of which 14,583 kilometers are trunk roads, 15,462 kilometers are urban roads, while 48,357 kilometers are feeder roads. Now, according to the same document, as of September 2021, government had issued commencement certificates for the implementation of 84 critical, regional and interregional road projects with estimated length of 2,237.51 kilometers, which cost approximately 7.84 billion, Ghana cedis. So according to the ministry, between 2017 and 2020, 1,005 kilometers of asphalt overlay works have been, completed in some selected areas of the country. So also the first phase of the Sino-Hydro deal was to yield 432 kilometers of roads and 2 interchanges. So now if you add all of these, it does not, tally with the 10,875 fresh roads announced, by the president. So, and remember that the information we have, only captured data from 2017 to September 2021. Okay. So, to be fair, there isn't, readily available data on what has transpired from November 2021 to March 2022. So, the government would have to provide enough, data to back this claim.
Kofi, thank you very much for bringing us those details. It means that from September to now, we need some updates on the difference that we are seeing from the ministry's own record on the roads that have been covered or worked on so far by this government. Now, the president also disclosed today that 17.7 billion cedis have so far been spent on COVID-19 pandemic.
We have saved lives and fared much better than we had feared and the experts predicted. But the consequences of lockdowns, border and business closures, and unplanned expenditures have combined to have a devastating impact on our economy. The unplanned expenditures included, but were not limited to, the recruitment on a permanent basis of 58,121 healthcare professionals and the payment of extra incentives to our frontline health workers. It took an unbudgeted 1.9 billion cedis to ensure that our children and teaching staff went back and stayed in school safely. Some, including regrettably a few in this honorable house, went as far as to accuse the government of trying to kill Ghanaian children when we introduced the controlled school reopenings. We provided nearly 5 million households and over 10 million people with electricity and water subsidies at the time they were most needed. In all, data from the Ministry of Finance tells us that an amount of 17.7 billion cedis, 4.6% of GDP, has been spent in containing the pandemic since 2020.
He also admitted that government was over-ambitious in the expectation that the Agenda 111 hospital project will be completed within 18 months.
We are undertaking the construction of 101 entities, which comprise standard 100-bed district hospitals for 101 districts without hospitals, with accommodation for doctors and nurses. 6 new regional hospitals for each of the 6 new regions. The rehabilitation of the Afia and Kwanta Hospital in the Western region. 1 new regional hospital for the Western region. And 3 psychiatric hospitals for each of the 3 zones of the country, that is North, Middle, and Coastal. It is an ambitious project which must and will be done, and which will create some 33,900 jobs for construction workers, and on completion, some 34,300 jobs for health workers. Mr. Speaker, I have to report, like all major construction projects, it is evident that the initial schedule we gave for the completion of Agenda 111 was overly ambitious. Identifying suitable sites around the country, for example, has turned out to be even more problematic than had been anticipated. I am now able to say that a great deal of the preparatory work has now been completed, and work has started at 87 of the 111 sites.
Let's go into the phone lines now and speak to the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Mintah Kando. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. The President did admit today that they were overly ambitious with the Agenda 111 and the initial timeline, which is 18 months, given to complete the project. He admits that that is not realistic. Do you applaud the President, at least for that honesty?
How do you expect me to applaud the President when he is preparing the minds of Ghanaians towards failure? I don't do that. I don't do that. My brother, we started criticizing this Agenda 111 not today. We've raised a series of questions. None of these questions have even, we have not received any answer to any of these questions. One, where did we come from? We came from, 88 hospitals as a promise.
Yeah.
That they were going to give us 88 hospitals within 1 year. This promise was made in the year 2020. So what it meant was that by the year 2021, we should have had 88 hospitals in all. By the end of 2021, we didn't have a single hospital completed. That was a failure. If that was even ambitious, we could have understood the President. He scaled it up to Agenda 111, 111 hospitals. The President gets back to tell us that now he's going to complete these 111 hospitals in a matter of 12 to 18 months. Then he gets to the floor of the House and tells us that it is overly ambitious. The question is, didn't the President think through this project before before promising the good people of this country? In the 2021 budget, it was clearly stated that they had given about 101 hospitals on contract, 2021. Now the president tells us that even getting site, and in the 2022 budget, they were even talking about site. How can you award the project on contract without even getting site for those projects? Clearly, the president was being economical with the truth. Because look, there's no commitment to the promise Mr. President is making. If you check the 2022 budget, the allocation that was made to Agenda 111 was 518 million Ghana cedis. Now the president tells us that they need about $1.7 billion. Take the exchange rate, the present exchange rate, and convert it and see the amount of Ghana cedis we expect to be able to complete this project. What is the source of funding? What's the source of funding?
Well,
now, the president is saying that in his speech today, he says that now from 101, he has dropped to 87 hospitals. That the project, the contract is ongoing on 87 sites. As the people of this country, we need evidence to that effect. We need a list of all these 87 hospitals so that everybody will monitor these 87 hospitals he's talking about.
And we here at Joy News did try to get information on that using the RTI law, the provision that, makes it, that gives us the opportunity to request for these information. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything out of it. The ministry has no information.
Exactly the point that you people wrote to the ministry responsible for health in this country. And over the years, every infrastructure in the health sector, it is a Ministry of Health that has been responsible for every infrastructure in the health sector. Now the Ministry of Health writes back to you to tell you, a ministry under the president, they say that they don't have any information with regards to Agenda 111.
So
when they started this project,
yes,
hello,
finish,
can you hear me?
Finish the point, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so when the president broke the grounds for the commencement of Agenda 111, what we were told was that, look, we are going to finish this project between 12 months to 18 months. This is what we were told. Now, the president knows that about 6 to 7 months gone already, so they cannot deliver. So you must come back and prepare your mind that, look, I will not be able to deliver in the 18 months. So he now says that, look, I will deliver before my tenure of office.
Which is the point I was coming to.
When you come back and ask him, why haven't you completed? Oh, it is not the end of my tenure yet.
Which is the point I was coming to, that there's a new timeline now, at the end of his term. You have confidence in that?
How can I have confidence in this? Look at where we have come from. And look, let me tell you what is going to happen. What is going to happen is that, and mark my words, and we start this in the initial stages because we don't even have money to complete what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama left, which of course somewhere even as high as 85% complete. So what he's going to do is that before 2024 elections, they are going to finish some number of hospitals anyway, about 5 or 6 or 7. Now when they finish, then they will put sand at site A, put gravels at site B, put some blocks at site C. Then they'll come back and tell the people of this country that, oh, we have commissioned about 10 or 5. So the rest are ongoing. So give us another mandate so that when we come, we'll come and complete them. This is what they are going to do to us.
Well,
this
so
is what they are preparing their mind,
Mr. Kando, definitely there are some questions to be answered, and we'll follow up with the relevant authorities to see if we can get some clarity on this. But you have been calling for accountability on how much we have spent on COVID-19. Today there was an update. The president said that 17 billion, a little over that, has been spent so far on COVID-19. Should that suffice?
No. The document of Parliament is different from what the president says, and there shouldn't be any disparity between what the president knows and what is before Parliament. My brother, if you check the 2021 budget, and as of 2021, we have spent a little over 18 billion Ghana cedis, excluding what we have spent at the end of 2021. And from January 2022 up to today, excluding that amount. So how can the president come back and tell us that they have spent 17 billion, a little about 17 billion? So this is the more reason why we are saying that we must prove the entire COVID expenditure. Because what they have presented to us in the budget for the past 3 or so budget is different from what the president stated on the floor of the House today.
Mr. Kando, I'm grateful.
And this is for public knowledge.
Very well. I'm grateful for your time. That's the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Mr. Kando, speaking on 2 major issues today, Agenda 111, and of course the update given by the President on how much we've spent on COVID-19. But we'll stay on the State of the Nation address because the President today also talked about recent incident of coups in the sub-region and related matters here in Ghana.
To be done on building our institutions, but our democracy is worth fighting for. It is up to us to find a way to accommodate each other and our differences, to make things work for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, it might also be well that coup d'etats have re-entered our discourse because of the turmoil in our neighborhood. The West African region is suddenly back in the international news headlines for all the wrong reasons. We're back again as the region of political instability and the place for coups. Long and bitter experience led ECOWAS to its current stance of zero intolerance for military coups. We in Ghana know the cost of instability. It leads to the exodus of our artisans and professionals and the emptying of teachers from our schools.
Perhaps the most difficult set of 3 months in a long time, the first quarter of 2022, has been all sort of pinching for the average Ghanaian. From promises of job creation, tax cuts, booming crop production made by government ahead of the 2020 polls, the new year has rudely awoken many people to the reality of inevitable austerity, whether by virtue of external factors like COVID-19 and the Russian crisis or Russian-Ukraine war, or plain mismanagement of the economy. The average Ghanaian tonight is carrying the cross. From Parliament, where President Akufo-Addo delivered the State of the Nation address, Manuel Cranton has been in town listening to the people's State of the Nation, and our reports.
This is Abotilkai, Ghana's biggest spare parts dealership hub. Millions of dollars are traded in automobile parts here every year. Lately, the business is taking a hit. The dealers are not happy. Now, instead of selling, many of them spend a great deal of time brooding over the situation. This sentiment resonates with a lot more of the dealers at Abosokai. Eric sells air-conditioned motors here.
Like before, like at least a day I feel sell like 3 or 4. But for now, maybe the whole week I go sell like 1. If I'm lucky, I sell like 2. So if like I did a shopping side, maybe Charlie, I go there. So I for come the road top, come or say small, say I go get something.
It's Monday afternoon, but the streets are virtually empty, not crawling with vehicles as they normally did in the past. To make sales, Eric has left his shop some 200 meters away to court clients by the roadside.
Charlie, myself like I did my shop, but as nobody they come, I for come the roadside, come was say I go get some chop money, go house because kid the house. That's why we did the road top. Like by now you no go see me for you. Like I did my shop, customers go call me.
As he explains, the depreciating cedi coupled with high import duties is shooting their prices through the roof. What are the results? Eric explains.
I go, then the burger go talk say no, duty go high, things go high for there. So what's like they take surprise give us 300, you know. You go there and you go talk say no, the price change 350. When you are lucky at 350, when somebody go feel also surprise give you 400. So if the person come, you know, maybe you doing budget say this thing I they buy am 300. or 400. But he go come, he go tell him say 500. He go, he no go come again.
And that is Eric's State of the Nation. Just a few hundred meters across the street from Abose Okai is a grand Kaneshie market complex. It is one of the biggest market centers in Accra. The story is no different here.
My name is Nadu. I'm selling the tomatoes in the Kaneshie market. My business is not good for me.
Nadu has been selling here for the past 20 years. But she explains this year is uniquely different.
First, when you were home, a bellet no be an. First, Coco, I ain't been okay. Well, I woke up, I know, Abanya, no, I can't know. Go, but check it on home. Open on you what way. Many I will 10. I know 8 million. No much no cover down. She be an a car, I can pull and chair. Go out, okay, but go ahead. What petrol got take petrol again? I can't mean no. Go I more. First again, I'm more lolly a gay bar. Lolly moving 120. Okay, what 100. I buy 100 million. Okay, 80 million. Biana, 200 million. I'm more lolly come. The 200 million, next can go fair, but actually, I'm more no come. Nico or Jame, about pay board as car. If you know about what pay board, I buy Bushka. The fair flat one,
the state of her business is what occupies her mind as she listens to the president's address. From the busy streets of Kaneshie, I have come to the serene Legon campus of the University of Ghana. Even here, the serenity of the landscape is not telling on the mood of students and lecturers. I meet Dr. Samuel Nkumban. He's the president of the local chapter of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. For 6 straight weeks, Dr. Nkumban and his colleagues boycotted the lecture halls in demand of better conditions of service. They are back to the classroom, albeit reluctantly.
I'm not sure anybody is sufficiently happy with the conditions in which we work as members of UTAG. Given particularly so that our workload has increased over the years, that when the regulatory responsibility on me as somebody who teaches in humanities is supposed to be 75 students per class, and I'm supposed to teach maximum 3 classes, which would imply that 75 times 3, and I have a class that already subsumes over 1,000% of that, and yet I don't get any extra for doing that extra job. And so if lecturers are asking and calling for improved conditions of service, nobody since our engagement has said it was out of place.
Even as that struggle continues, there's more trouble looming.
Government has made those pronouncements before in seeking to win, especially the larger University of Ghana, KNUST and UCC off subvention. Frankly, I'm not confident in the system because of the experiences of having made promises of what has to be done, what I want to do, and not doing them. And even without coming back to say that for ABC reasons, I'm not able to do what I said I was going to do. The student loan scheme, of course, is a huge thing, and it will be the best way with which we could possibly support the needy students of this country. There are students here who would not have to rely on loan scheme. But if the universities have to get the money from the loan trusts on behalf of students to be able to function, and if that delays, then you put the universities on the wrong foot, because what they are supposed to deliver to students in terms of responsibility would be curtailed. And so that is why I'm saying that there's the need for a comprehensive and a holistic conversation to ensure that this does not go the free SHS way.
Dr. Nkumban is not happy. But beyond his discontent about this new government directive, the average university student is worse for it. Ellie is one of them.
And now we are learning that government is trying to take off university public tertiary institutions off its payroll. For us, it's a disaster and it's no good news because management will push the cost to us. And you know, even with the current status quo, we are not able to pay our fees. How much more increase the school fees? We don't know what next academic year holds for us. So for us, there are many other students who are in the same shoe.
But this is only a secondary problem for the students. Already, the COVID-19 pandemic coupled with a strike by their lecturers has got them ruffled, struggling to catch up on lessons. Ellie says being a university student in these times is really frustrating.
For all this time, being on campus has been, I would say, stressful, and at the same time, it poses more burden on yourself. For me, for instance, daily I may have to learn on my own, try to conduct some personal studies without course outline because you don't know what to do and what not to do. So you may end up learning things that you don't need to learn. And now that we are back to school, we are trying to find our way out, trying to pose more questions to lecturers and to be able to get answers to those things that we are learning without any notification or without any guidance. Yeah. It's been a burden, and students all this while we've been trying to cope.
And all of this is happening within the walls of the University of Ghana. Outside of these walls, and indeed outside the walls of many universities across the country, it is even harder to get it together. Peaches completed Ghana Institute of Journalism and is part of the over 450,000 first-time job seekers who are currently unemployed. She has seen hardship which is not getting any better this year.
And from there I've been looking for job. I've written applications, I've sent emails to companies that were opened for vacancies and job slots and all of that, and up to now I haven't really gotten feedbacks as to if I'm going to get a job or not. Right now I help my mom at a shop, so I'm at their mercy. So for things as little as food, cosmetics, airtime, money to buy shoes or slippers, I'm still at the mercy of my parents. Now the cost of transportation is another matter we are looking at because the fares are going up each and every day. The drivers will tell us because of the fuel prices, the increase in fuel prices, they also have to increase their fares. And it's difficult because these places we even apply to, now because of the high cost of transportation, going to these places is difficult for me because going in and going out, I need to have like 30 cities on me to go to where I want to go.
She's right about the cost of transportation. Fares have been on the ascendancy in direct correlation with fuel prices. In the first quarter of 2022 alone, prices of diesel and petrol have increased by 57% and 45% respectively. Operators of public transport insist the increment in transport fares is just a fraction of what is actually supposed to be. Abbas Imoro speaks for the GPRTU.
We were thinking he will speak to the reduction of fuel, and if that hasn't happened, what else do you expect us to do? 15 pesos is nothing to come out with.
What is your description of
our business has dropped, the activities surrounding it, and the energy we used to work with has dropped, I must confess. But until recently, we were trying to revive it. People are having understanding that yes, in the driving industry you can still make it. Then the fuel prices also steps in and start disturbing. So currently it's not all that rosy.
Will there be more increment in transport fares?
We are going to come out with an upward adjustment in lorry fares. We are thinking around 15%. Considering we came out with a press release on 21st of February 2022, and we increased the lorry fares on 26th February 2022. Lo and behold, within this shortest possible time, the fuel has been increased over 20% upwards, getting closer to 30 or around 30%. So you can imagine it. And without fuel, no driver can work.
And that is your cue on what the state of the nation is or will continue to be for a while in Ghana. President Akufo-Addo has admitted that the current economic situation in the country is hard. He has accordingly ordered a series of expenditure cuts, including an up to 30% pay cut for government appointees. Will this be enough to change the stories of Eric, the spare parts dealer, Nadu, the tomato seller, Abbas Imoro, the transport operator, Eli, the student, Dr. Nkumban, the university lecturer, or Beatrice, the unemployed graduate? For Joy News, my name is Manuel Crunting, reporting on your State of the Nation.
And some citizens in Kumasi are anxious for a respite from what they describe as an exacerbating economic situation. High inflation, skyrocketed fuel prices, and the rising cost of food are major issues confronting Ghanaians. Emmanuel Bright Kweku spoke to some residents on the street of Kumasi.
But they said I had a pa at the tonai Nipano Onyadena ope and so obone boa no at him no ko tiaba is siasa just a one.
Times are hard. Customers complain about the increased price. We are not getting customers lately. The new price margins on retailed goods are even expensive now.
The country is tough. I used to be a tiler, but due to the increased prices, people do not want to tile their homes again. So we've had to pack aside our equipment. Now I have turned a maid, and even with that, I can't even earn some cash.
2016 coming down in them to me 20 city 30 city Labiana Muska says I'm going to book the match from a disc woman in a senior mental bianet is a first and anatomy. Oh, and this first is an amateur Adriana 3 cities. Namedi Diame, Adriana 3 cities, Amatonam 2 cities, and a Tetametonam and Adriana 4 cities. And I'm not 2 cities could have been him. And I'm not 2 cities been him. Just autumn 3 cities. And it's an
I do not buy much food lately. I used to buy food at 5 Ghana cedis, but now I have to spend 7 Ghana cedis on food, and that's not even satisfying.
And I'm 2 cities. What did you mean? We are free. And the heading. When I'm a cotton Caracono, 3 cities back. A day.
Boa mama visa. If you not traza, we go mimiti adiamra, mimako school tech. First don't move school no.
I stay far from here and I have to increase my children's transport fares for school. The rents too are expensive.
So what is the state of the nation for you? Go to our social media platforms and share with us. This is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Still to come, NDC accuses the Clerk of Parliament of tampering with vital evidence to be used to challenge the one-sided approval of the controversial E-levy.
So it is interesting to find out that these votes and proceedings, which represent the minutes of yesterday, has been cooked. And then the opportunity to correct the cooked document is also denied.
Have details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, the minority leader, Harry Nigerisu, and 2 other colleagues have dragged the Attorney General to the Supreme Court over the approval of the electronic transaction levy, that's E-levy, and they contend that Parliament did not have the required number of at least half of members present when the controversial tax policy was approved. the Tamale South MP and his colleagues want the Supreme Court to declare that the said approval was contrary to law. My colleague Kweku Asante joins me via Zoom with details of the suit. Kweku, who are the other two MPs who have joined the minority leader, and what are their arguments?
So, Ernest, there are two other MPs who are joining minority leader Haruna Idrisu to mount this legal challenge at the Supreme Court are the Boko Central MP Mahama Yarga and also the North Tongue MP Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. Their arguments are anchored on the 8th release they are seeking from the Supreme Court. They are also seeking the Supreme Court to give any other declaratory release that they so desire. But they mount their suit principally on the case that they were not up to 138 MPs in Parliament at the time the controversial tax measure was passed. Okay. And you know, the minority walked out when the process was unfolding. And at the time the minority walked out, they were advancing the committee's report on the E-levy in Parliament. And so, although that had the minority's presence, they are arguing that when the vote for the second reading was taken, they were not present. And they are going to show to the Supreme Court that at the time in Parliament, there were only 136 MPs on the floor. They say that Honorable Sarah Joasapho, the Don Kwabena MP, was not in the chamber, and also the MP for Ahanta West and the Chieftaincy Minister Kojo Kum, who was rumored to be in the precincts of Parliament awaiting the bill to come to the floor so that they could come in and vote. And so they are basing their suit on these grounds, and they are asking the Supreme Court to reject the approval of the bill by Parliament. And just before you go, Ernest, we've been hearing from the majority this evening who are saying that they are going to ask the Supreme Court to reject these arguments from the NDC because the NDC should have stayed on the floor of Parliament and raised these issues and not actually go out and go and worry the Supreme Court, quote unquote, as it were, to ask the court to, reject the approval of the E-levy.
And I'm sure you're referring to the Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who spoke to Evans on Top Story this evening.
Yes. So he's been making the point that their side will be seeking to join the suit, sort of, and will be making the case to the court that the jurisdiction of the court has not been properly triggered. And so the case must be dismissed just at the time it was filed. And it actually used the terms that the case is dead on arrival.
Kweku, thank you very much for those details. The minority in Parliament is confident that the Supreme Court will set aside the approval of the E-levy by the one-sided House. Ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, who is joining the minority leader in this suit, granted us this interview, and he asked the judges to rise above partisanship.
Well, as you do know, I cannot speak for the judiciary, but my colleague, my colleague plaintiffs and I remain confident. We believe that this matter is open and shut. This is very clear cut. The Supreme Court has only very recently, pronounced on these matters. Very recently. I do not see how the Supreme Court will go back on its word or will have a change of mind, when the Supreme Court has been very clear about the implications and the meaning, the true meaning of Article 104.1. So I am very confident. The Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the Honorable Mahama Yariga, who are plaintiffs with me in this matter, we are very confident that the Supreme Court will uphold its.
The General Secretary of the Opposition NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, is accusing the Clerk of Parliament, Cyril Kwabena Nsia, of tampering with what he describes as vital evidence expected to be used by the minority in challenging the approval of the E-levy. Mr. Asiedu Nketia argued that the clerk, who supervises and keeps the true records of the House, deliberately marked about 8 MPs absent, even though the said MPs were present in the chamber. According to him, the clerk has been compromised by the majority. In an interview with John News, Mr. Asiedu Nketia called on the leadership of the minority to challenge the document he describes as coup.
The record of the meeting as provided in the votes and proceedings, and to see whether it reflects what actually took place the previous day. I can see in the votes and proceedings that even in recording the members present, all our 136 MPs, apart from Kwesi, all 136 were present. But you see a column in the votes and proceedings where 9 of our MPs are marked absent. Where did this come from?
Well, Ajosafu is not a member of your party, so perhaps 8.
Yeah, maybe 8. Yeah, you see, Abdul Latif Dan, Ablekuma Central, he was in the house. The cameras captured him. Abdul Salam Adams, Niwe Dubiasi, he was present in the house. Amankwa Nicholas Amanfis was present in the house. Avoka Cletus Apul was present. Boatin Joseph Apia was present. Ofosua Jare Lisbeth Techimanov was present. And then you have it was James Jachi Kwesi who was not present on our side.
But I must confirm that later I saw now the President of Parliament. Later I saw now the President of
Yes, but if he didn't enter the house, right, that one he wasn't present.
But the national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddie Blaze, says the NDC's legal challenge of the E-levy smacks of political chicanery, and he claims that there was no quorum for the passage of the bill.
That's chicanery. They themselves were part. They took part in the debate. They should have been there. At the niche of time when they knew it is going to be passed, and then the numbers were there, and they found themselves out. Everything is started. Just a continuation. So far as I'm concerned, it's self-serving. What they are saying is to save their faces. But the E-levy has been passed. So,
but you've been a member of Parliament before. At the third reading, you need a specific number of MPs present in the House to take a decision. During the third reading, the minority were not in the chamber.
Please listen. As you said, I've been a member of the House. That if you talk about numbers, people raise it on the floor by members. Who was there who raised the numbers? Who raised it?
The Speaker couldn't have raised the issue of quorum. That's because the minority filed out. You could have raised the matter of quorum.
Look, ask the Speaker. It is not the Speaker's duty to raise quorum.
I'm good. And today, the National Film Authority met corporate Ghana today, all in the vein of finding the role that brand placement can move the vehicle of movies. Well, it was there that the general manager for the Adum brand here at Multimedia, Abdullahi Audu, said that corporate bodies need assurance of their investment before they go into any investment or put any money in movies.
You know, what the corporate body needs basically is numbers. I mean, they have to have a return on their investment. When they put money into any project, like they come and put money advertising on us, they know they have data that shows that X number of people are watching it and they have reached X number of people, and so this is a return on their investment. What they need is data. So it's very important that I think they are interested. They want to find different ways of reaching people. What we all need to do is to be able to make sure that we can give them the numbers. And I think that because, like you said, we sit between the creative people and then the public. We are a distributed channel. And so if we collaborate well with the creative guys and we collaborate with the corporates, and we're able to then deliver the numbers that they are looking for, I'm sure they want to put money in, because they are constantly trying to find ways that they can reach the public and sell their products to them.